everyone. Thank you, and thank you, Karthik, for having me here today. It's great to be here. For 25 years, Accenture has been laying out its tech vision. And actually, if you look back, you've been remarkably accurate multiple times. But now it feels like trying to predict the future is harder than ever, given how fast AI and technology is moving. How did you even begin to approach this problem of what are we going to predict for a year where it seems where everything is changing?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for being here and being part of this launch. Yeah, it's an interesting thing to be in the middle of predicting where the future is going, especially in a space like technology. We do that through multitude of inputs. We have a research team that surveys, interviews, and collects data throughout the year. The other input is we work with almost every big technology ecosystem player.
Right.
The large companies.
How many customers and clients do you have?
Close to 6,000 clients.
Just a few.
We have.
Yeah.
And we work with most of the Fortune 500 or G2000 clients. So the input from what's cooking, what the ecosystem is building is a very important input. We also stay very close to the academia because a lot of early stage research gives us an indication. And last but not the least, the most important is working with these clients where we are seeing the problem at hand and what needs to come to solve it. When we put all of these together, we are able to do this annual forecast of where technology is going and how enterprises need to get ready to handle that. And we've been directionally accurate.
What is the problem at hand?
I think I would say there is an opportunity at hand. As we
That's
talked.
the optimist in you. Yeah.
That's the optimist in me. I think AI is truly at an inflection point. AI has been there for a very, very long time, but it's truly at an inflection point where it's reaching human-level capabilities on several dimensions. The progress that it has made in vision, language, reasoning, and recently in physics is accelerating all of this. And we are seeing signs of a lot of these manifesting into foundation models or large language models, agentic architectures, ability to fine-tune and make the model your own. All of these are also happening. And we are also seeing certain other leading indicators. Our own economic forecast is about 10.3 trillion of economic value will get created over the next 15 years. If you look at the role or the contribution of technology as a share of GDP, we see that accelerating its contribution. The Nobel winners in physics and chemistry are computer scientists. And we are opening nuclear power plants that were shut down to power AI. So this time, I think there's a lot of indicators pointing to one direction, and it's all about the scaled adoption of AI and AI reaching the stage of autonomy.
So your vision for 2025 starts out with, quote, a binary big bang, which sounds exciting, but also a little ominous. What exactly do you mean?
Yeah, we believe that we are reaching, or we would be getting into the stage where we are calling this as a declaration of AI autonomy to begin with. And what we mean by that is there's been isolated efforts on using AI that's happening since the advent of ChatGPT at an accelerated pace. And these isolated efforts are proof of concepts, projects, use cases, and so on and so forth. Whether consciously or inadvertently, we believe enterprises will start connecting all of these together, and they would form something called a cognitive digital brain. That's what we believe will get created. And the cognitive digital brain is not one thing or one piece of software. It's a combination of an enterprise data curated into semantic knowledge, all the models that they have access to, the frontier models and the customizable open source models and so on and so forth, access to agentic AI, and all the infrastructure, hardware, and architecture. All of this would come together to create that cognitive digital brain. And once they all come together, we believe that will manifest into 4 trends, the first of which is this binary Big Bang.
So what can this cognitive brain do?
The cognitive brain will be able to provide the recent knowledge of an organization, as well as the knowledge of all the history that an organization has gone through. It can encompass the personality and culture of an organization, and it could help make decisions for organizations. And we believe that this cognitive digital brain, even though the manifestation of it will happen a lot at enterprise level, but it's going to be at various levels of the society, starting from individuals having access to their own personal cognitive brains, to enterprises having it, industry having it for cross-industry collaboration, and so on and so forth, and governments to drive policy, governance, and citizen and business services. So this cognitive digital brain will act as this companion that will raise the efficiency and innovation quotient of everybody that's involved.
There are the skeptics and the optimists about AI, or the doomers and the evangelists, whatever you want to call it. How would you rate the level of trust in AI, and is it misunderstood?
There is real challenges in AI, and in fact, the way we called this year's vision is that all of this autonomy that we are talking about, the promise of the limitless possibilities, can be limited only by trust not being there. And I think trust is not understood holistically, rather than saying misunderstood. We are dividing trust into 2 dimensions, emotional trust and cognitive or rational trust. Emotional trust is what everybody has been talking about when you hear about deep fakes and safety and bias and so on and so forth. A lot has been talked about it, a lot more has to be done about it, and that's the sphere or spectrum of responsible AI. But the other dimension of trust is this cognitive trust, which is, do you believe that it will perform based on what you are expecting it to perform? And this is a complex subject, because ever since the advent of technology, from the word assembler code was created, every technology that has been created is an instruction-driven technology, which means there is a human who's writing instruction to a computer to make it do exactly what that human did. As long as the human programmed it correctly, like they say, a computer never lies. It will exactly do, and it never gets tired. It exactly does. But AI is a different technology. You give it the right surrounding. It's almost like raising a child, that you give them all the right surrounding and you hope and pray that they grow, as the right smart citizens that we want them to be. AI is the same thing.
You actually, you use this metaphor as AI is like a child and we're the parents, which really resonated with me. And in the same breath, you brought up your Indian upbringing, where you said much credit or discredit is given to the parents based on how the child turns out. Explain this metaphor.
Yeah, so look at it this way, at home, when my wife does all the work and I tell her, why don't you ask me to do it? I will do this. And her answer for that is, if you would do this correctly, I would allow you to do it. Okay? Yeah. So there is onus on both sides. One is, there is onus in my wife to teach me how exactly she expects me to do that work. And there is onus in me to demonstrate accurately, consistently, predictably, that I'm able to do that work right. Only if both these happens, then that work will get delegated. That's exactly the thing with AI. We need to be able to teach it with all this right kind of input and data for it to be able to perform an action or an activity as we expect it to do. And it needs to keep showing us accurately, consistently, predictably, and in an explainable way. When it goes wrong, we should be able to figure out why it went wrong so I can correct it. So that is the trust that needs to be built. And this is hard yards, that you need to do this, almost in a blind way. You cannot go and correct it. It's, give it different inputs to see how it changes.
I feel the same way about my husband, so I'm glad I'm not alone. Once the cognitive digital brain is formed, what happens? What's the next trend?
I think we believe that this cognitive digital brain will manifest into these 4 trends that we are calling out. The first being the binary Big Bang, which is we believe that there's going to be an inflection point in how technology is going to get created and how technology is going to transform enterprises. The second thing is that AI, we are already seeing, if the use case number 1 is coding assistance and digitized coding, the second use case, or use case 1.5, is using AI in customer service, customer engagement. And if every customer engagement or every engagement that I have as a customer is through AI, how will every company differentiate themselves?
Right.
Is going to be
Are they all going to start to sound the same?
Yeah,
right?
That is the risk, because there's a lot of effort going into hyper-personalization. And what is hyper-personalization? It's about understanding me as a customer and telling everything that I need and providing everything that I need. But think about it. If somebody who I do not know is coming and telling everything about me, about my family, 1, that'll freak me out. Number 2, that's not impressive, because I would think that that individual has probably Googled me and found something about me and just, showing off that they know about me. But on the other hand, somebody that I know, say you, the next time you meet, you ask me about my family, you ask me about things that we talked last time, then I know you as a personality and I will enjoy that conversation and I will relate to you even more. That's how we get closer. So hyper-personalization is one dimension that is being focused on. What the cognitive digital brain will do is bring personified AI, which means that bringing the personality or the persona of an enterprise into the AI so that every AI looks different. Like if I go to a shop, a Costco versus a Target and a Walmart, all 3 gives me different experience. Not that one is better than another experience, but you get a different experience. How does AI bring that unique personality is what this is going to do.
We're also hearing a lot about how AI software now meets hardware, and that I've heard 2025 is the year of the robot, and you do have a very specific view about what this means for hardware innovation. What is the next frontier? Is this really the year of the robot, or the beginning of the next decade of everyone saying it's the year of the robot?
I think it's a step change. I wouldn't be doing justice to what Jensen talked about yesterday, which was fascinating. I think the biggest breakthrough is foundations models coming into robots. Robots were, instruction tuned or trained with specific instructions, small set of instruction to perform certain set of activities with extreme level of accuracy. That's how manufacturing happened, and that's how a lot of robotic activities happened. Now what is happening is foundation models, which means that you are teaching it to perform wide set of activities, and you will fine tune it to perform one set of activities to begin with, add a second set, add a third set, like humans do. You could keep adding it. That's number one. The second thing is, because LLMs becoming an interface, you don't need to go and code for every new instruction to be given. You could talk to it and make it perform these activities. And there is technology innovation going on in hardware to bring physics and spatial awareness into these robots, so that these robots need not be kept behind a glass wall for it to perform. It can operate safely for us to begin with.
So you work with 6,000 different customers / clients. What are the biggest mistakes that you see businesses, governments making right now?
I think rather than saying mistakes, where I would expect businesses and governments to focus on goes to the fourth trend, which is the clarifying the role of humans, people in their organization vis-a-vis AI. AI by definition is a learning technology and can be used as a supporting technology. Everybody, throughout humanity, humans want to do better tomorrow than yesterday. That's been in the DNA of our society. Every human wants to do that. And they could do that by training their own personal AI assistant, which understands what the human is expecting them to do, and also over time understands the things that the humans do not want to do. So this augmentation of work with an AI, with its own cognitive digital brain, we believe will create this continuous learning loop or the vicious learning cycle within an organization. And empowering employees and giving them an AI for them to perform better and for them to enjoy. Don't give them immediate goal that, okay, you need to perform a lot faster and deliver a lot more. Can you deliver higher quality output? Can you innovate faster? Does it give you more thinking time because you're getting mundane activities? So we need to have a lot of change management in the way organizations work with this for that diffusion of AI to accelerate.
There's so much fear about job losses. So once this new learning loop is completed, or maybe it's this sort of infinite loop, what is the net job situation, and what are the jobs that we're actually doing? Like, I feel like I'm pretty productive. How much more productive can I be?
You are pretty productive on the set of tasks that you do on a daily basis. Can you
But then if I offload a few more of those to my husband, then maybe I'll be
exactly
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
You could do a lot more, and you could do a lot more stuff that you like to do and the things that you feel are more enriching. This basically can take you up the Maslow's need hierarchy, by having the lower set of activities. When I say lower, the things that you don't like to do, right?
Of which there are many, sure.
Yeah, there are many, right?
So how quickly do you see this playing out? Is this something that happens, within the space of 2025 and then 2026, where we've got some completely new trends? I mean, because it seems impossible, like standing still for a second and we're behind. How quickly does this all play out?
I think this is, of all the years of tech vision that we have come up with, I think this year's tech vision feels actionable today, because a lot of pre-work, groundwork is being done in enterprises and governments today. If you see several governments signing up their own sovereign AI initiatives, that they are saying, my government is going to have a new AI for itself, and so on and so forth. Everybody is doing this preparatory work. What we are proposing and forecasting is that there is going to be a shift in the way this readiness is going to be approached. Don't stumble into an accidental creation of cognitive digital brain over a period of time. Be very programmatic and systematic to it so that you could build this. It's a long-term effort, because it's like a learning technology, like the analogy that I gave about raising a child. This needs to be grown. You need to curate all the, collect all the data, curate data for certain kinds of things. You need to create synthetic data. Be careful not to, inject bias in it. Privacy of data is extremely important. So there's a lot of preparatory work that is required, but this is the age, or this is the year of AI foundation and scaling AI. And once this gets created, the manifestation of that will be solving big problems and big outcomes. So this is almost like building the central nervous system, of an enterprise. And that needs to be developed, and that needs to be built. And that's going to happen this year. And I think the trend going forward is going to be newer avatars and newer manifestation of this cognitive digital brain as to what are the other fields and spectrums and industry nuances that it will be able to solve is what we will see coming from this.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about how some of your clients are approaching these problems. So I'd like to bring on Kevin Lopes of ESPN. He is the Vice President of Sports Business Development and Innovation there. And I'm going to embarrass you for just a moment because he also is, for 2 years in a row, is the champion of his family fantasy league. So my first question is, Kevin, what do you know that we don't?
Lamar Jackson should be the MVP, in my opinion. But no, I mean, when you work at ESPN, I think you're expected to perform well in fantasy. And I omitted the first 20 years of my fantasy career we were talking earlier and only referenced the last two. But it is in fact 100% accurate. I am the back-to-back champion in the ESPN Fantasy League.
All right, so now we all want to know your secrets even more. You know, given what Karthik and I have been talking about, what sort of resonates with you most here, knowing what's happening in the sports world, which, you know, it's just such a wealth of data that's firing all the time? Yeah, well, when I read the report and I heard you just now backstage talking, I think two things. One, selfishly, the Big Bang is I'm kind of minimizing the importance of it, but to me, as an enterprise person, AI, I would love to see it get cheaper, right? So as it, you know, is more of an enterprise solution, I'd love for those costs to come down. At ESPN, we have millions of concurrent viewers on multiple platforms. We're a leader in so many different ways. And so for us to deploy AI in the most impactful way, there's a lot of concurrency, a lot of consumption. So, you know, we're certainly, we'll talk about later, doing a lot of different things in AI, but as those costs come down, we can really turbocharge our business. Second, I love the concept of learning loop. For me, you know, at ESPN, creativity and humans are the center of everything that we do, and they'll continue to be the center of what we do in an AI world. But we just want to have humans use AI to be better, stronger, faster. And we've done some internal testing, and we've done some looking at customer care, right? So if you order the UFC pay-per-view on ESPN Plus, and you can't quite get it to work, you call a number, and we've got people to help troubleshoot. And again, we've got millions of concurrent people, so sometimes, you know, grandma might have a hard time figuring out how to get it together, and so, you know, someone will walk her through that. And for us, we were testing using AI to help those customer care agents. And after the test was over, we heavily looked at how did those humans feel about using that technology. Mm-hmm. And they were upset that we took it away, you know, because it was a trial period for us to evaluate. And after, they're like, well, when will I actually get to use this? Because it summarized the call for me, it searched all of internal documentation to lift up ways for them to move that call along faster. It summarized it at the end, so they didn't need to spend time recapping the call internally. And so we saw 25% more productivity, and I was most proud of that the humans were like, I would love to utilize this technology. And that's really how we think about it at ESPN, but I loved hearing what you guys were talking about earlier. No, I'd love to talk about some of the specific examples of how you're integrating AI into the business. For example, we talked about the fax thing backstage. Yeah. Explain how that works and how transformative you think it could be for sort of the broadcast part of the operation. Yeah, so we're fortunate to have something called the ESPN Edge Innovation Center and have tremendous partners. Accenture has been a founding partner with us. Microsoft is also a partner. And so, you know, when you have world-class partners, they have world-class technology available to them. And so we had access to, you know, groundbreaking technology years ago. And so we were, you know, looking at how we can utilize that technology behind the scenes for a good amount of time. And so we started off with AI closed captions. Like, it's the right thing to do to close caption all events, you know, for folks who are hearing impaired, but also for people who are in an area that they can't, you know, read or hear the screen. And so we used AI technology to close caption content. And now we can do everything closed caption, not just what's legally required by law. And so really proud of that initial project. And that was one of the first things that came out of the center. And it was a great thing that saved a lot of money, but also did the right thing and created more content. We've also, you know, utilized technology from Microsoft and OpenAI to take the closed caption logs and the play-by-play data, ESPN data, to create recaps of content that we otherwise would not be able to create with humans. And so I went to the University of Rhode Island. I love the University of Rhode Island's men's and women's basketball teams. Unfortunately, we're not ranked in the top 25, and we just don't have resources to dedicate a human writer to just give us a simple recap of the event. And so we can utilize available technology.
and that data to write that recap for us. And so we can create thousands of more incremental content and then hyper-personalize that to fans. And so when I look at AI and the opportunity, hyper-personalization is a massive thing for us. And so talking about facts is, at the ESPN Edge Innovation Conference, who Lan, backstage, I was just talking to her, I think she's coming next, we announced that ESPN was working behind the scenes in an R&D effort to utilize available technology to create an AI-generated avatar that can help assist talent break down complicated scenarios that would be difficult for them to do in real time. And so, I don't know how many sports fans are here, but you have the college football playoff that's going on right now, and it's the first year of a 12-team playoff. And there's complicated scenarios on if Alabama beats Ole Miss but loses to Michigan, what are their odds on making the college football final? And sometimes you want to be able to talk about that in real time and don't have a calculator or think about all the constraints of the multiple things that go into it. And so we created an avatar that we grounded, fine-tuned, and trained with proprietary ESPN analytics data. And so the avatar can converse with our talent. So talent are, Tim Tebow would be the talent on SEC Nation talking to facts to the avatar. And he could just say, facts, like what are the odds that Alabama makes the CFP as of right now while games are going on? And so we've got proprietary models that are running on what are the chances for each team to win a game immediately. A human talent would not be able to calculate that immediately. So we're not looking to replace human talent with AI talent. We're looking to make our humans better, stronger, faster in partnership with available groundbreaking technologies that we source through great partnerships.
I know I made some jokes earlier. My husband is great. He teaches he coaches my kids' baseball team, and he always talks about them always being in the baseball-ready stance, which, Karthik, you have this great metaphor using cricket as an example just about how businesses should be approaching this problem. Like, can you explain that? The ball's always coming to you,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, it's all about, anticipation. And I was talking about, being paranoid could result in, could result in higher anticipation. And if you have a higher anticipation, you are actually solving for multiple scenarios. And that actually goes back to what, Kevin, you said, and I really like this cost point that you mentioned. The main aspect of your organization, innovation, rests on experimentation. And experimentation has two variables. Either you increase the probability of success, or you increase the number of experiments. And to increase the number of experiments, the cost per experimentation needs to go down. And this binary Big Bang is truly that vehicle through which you could do a lot more experimentation and a lot more innovation. And this kind of learning loop that you talked creates a lot more anticipation because your data is feeding into what can be the next best idea based on all the things that your business is seeing. So, this is the reason it's the AI and the cognitive digital brain, we believe, is going to get embedded in every enterprise and is going to help in multitude of ways. And this is almost, that's why I call it the central nervous system, because the central nervous system is not designed to do, n number of things. It's so fungible that it could do so many things that is not anticipated at the beginning of the design of that system.
I'm just so fired up listening. Cognitive digital brain. I mean, I'm going to steal all these things. I'm going to beg you backstage to come speak to my team. I think we'd have a really good 1-2 punch. Me and my just sports guy lingo and this. Yeah. I mean, cognitive digital brain. I'm going to take that. If that's okay.
So, Kevin, last question for you, and this is kind of a big question. I was thinking about sort of the Moneyball era of baseball and how that explosion of data really changed the sport and all sports, really. How do you see the explosion of AI changing sports today? And then how does ESPN respond as a result?
Yeah, or I'll answer this a couple different ways. I would say, I touched on it before. Well, one, ESPN has a ton of data. We have a ton of proprietary data. Like data's gold, all the cliches. And we have a lot of it. We've got 225 people in the stats information group. We've got world-class analytics models. And so selfishly, we are best positioned to utilize groundbreaking technology with the data that we have. And so we're really excited about doing that. With that being said, we're at a opportunity to hyper-personalize sports for everyone. Like, why can't there be a version of SportsCenter just for me, right? So like, again, University of Rhode Island, I can always make fun of my own team. Like, I follow the University of Rhode Island men's and women's teams on Instagram, and I watched a female athlete on the University of Rhode Island come in 8th place in the NCAA championship in the 400 meters. I watched that highlight on Instagram, on Meta. And Meta is an innovation partner of ESPN. I love Meta, they're great. But I would kind of love to watch that highlight on ESPN because we have the rights. That airs on ESPN and ABC. And if we had AI crawling the audio in the video of that, the ESPN app knows I'm a Rhode Island sports fan. And so I can instantly, or the next morning, have a perfectly curated SportsCenter or digital show rundown that's completely highly hyper-personalized to me. And I think that's the biggest opportunity, one of the biggest opportunities for sports, is that everyone should have their own version of their interest. And you shouldn't have to go searching for it on multiple platforms. It should be served directly to you. And I think ESPN, based on our data and our partnerships and technology, we're best positioned to do that. But if I could spend 10 seconds talking about the moment that we're in right now in generative AI technology. As like a sports guy, the moment that in my life where you see technology move so quickly, anyone, even if you don't have a mechanical engineering degree from MIT or a degree from Harvard, and I know really smart people go to Harvard, anyone can see how great and fast the technology is moving. And so, in my life, it's like you're in college in 2001, you've got an Ethernet cord plugged into your computer, and then you unplug that Ethernet cord and you're still on the internet, wireless internet. You're instantly going, wow, this is great. This is going to change a lot. This is incredible. You have the Nokia brick phone. Great phone, played Snake on it, but like it was just, the Matrix slide phone. Awesome phone, really cool. The Motorola Razr phone, awesome. But when you first held that iPhone and went on the real internet and had a computer in the palm of your hand, every single person who touched that phone knew that that was a giant leap forward in technology. And so when GPT 3.5 came out and you saw all of the incredible things that you could do, everyone knew that that was a major moment. And so for me, I was like, I need to learn everything I can about this. And I need to take it to our really smart people at ESPN, the ESPN technology team, the Disney technology team, our world-class producers, and say, here's some awesome technology that I found from our partners. Here's some funding through our innovation partnerships. What will you do with it? And what will someone in their dorm room at Harvard come up with in 2 years? I don't know. But we do know that this technology is the worst it's ever going to be right now. Like the version of SOAR is the worst it's ever going to be right now. It's only going to get better. And like Nova's come out, and they're just it's going to continually get better. And so it's incumbent upon us in industry and enterprise to harness that technology to serve a mission. And for us, that's to serve sports fans anytime, anywhere.
All right. Kevin Lopes, everyone. Kevin, if you win your fantasy sports league next year, then we're going to start getting suspicious, okay?
I will not charge you for advice. I'm here to help out any way I can.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kevin.
Appreciate it.
So, obviously you mentioned NVIDIA. NVIDIA has had some huge announcements here, and also a big partner of yours. So I want to bring on Justin Boitano of NVIDIA, the Vice President of Enterprise AI there, as well as Lan Guan, Chief AI Officer of Accenture. Thank you. So this is where I think we can really talk about your partnership and how Accenture and NVIDIA really intersect. And Lan, I actually want to start with you because you just unveiled not just 12 agents, but 12 agent solutions, which means kind of hundreds of agents. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how Accenture's partners will be able to benefit from them?
Yeah, I'm super excited about this new announcement of our industry AI agents. So we're announcing 12 of them for now. So 12 solutions basically enable global enterprise to use agentic AI to transform their business functions all the way from marketing, sales to supply chain. So that's just the beginning. And basically the solution says everything you need to, including pre-assembled components, things that you can take to your enterprise to configure, right, using your own data so that we can help clients to accelerate their agentic AI journey.
So Justin, I mean, I think pretty unequivocally, NVIDIA is the leader in AI right now. What are you learning and what are you seeing that resonates the most based on what the conversation we've been having today and the trends that Karthik has laid out?
Yeah, well, I'll say what's amazing is all the trends are driving really a massive change in data center computing. And really what we see is everybody's moving to this new world of writing software, where software uses AI models to write software by itself, which means that architecture will run faster on GPUs. And so the data center world's moving to what we call AI factories. And these factories are going to take enterprise proprietary data and intelligence and institutional knowledge and really infuse it into these models to drive productivity gains that are akin to what we saw in the last industrial revolution. So it's going to have a big impact on the industry. We're really excited about the work that we're doing. And I think every CIO has to look at it as kind of this agentic wave they've got to get in front of, because it's going to power their company as from a competitive advantage into the future.
Mm-hmm. How do you get in front of it if it's moving so fast?
Oh, I mean, I think first off, our partnership with Accenture is one great way. I think when Meta launched Llama and open model weights, it really kind of opened this up to every enterprise. But every enterprise has to think of that as really a smart college graduate that doesn't know anything about their business. And so you want to be able to fine tune these models to understand everything about how you run your business, and you got to onboard them, you got to continually train them. And so the partnership with Accenture to build AI Refinery is really the easy starting place for every enterprise. They've built this global business practice with 30,000 people to help every enterprise globally. So it's really quite simple. It's built on 3 platforms from NVIDIA. The first we call NVIDIA NIM. They're optimized microservices to drive better token efficiency and throughput. The second is the onboarding and operationalization platform that we call NEMO. Lets you fine tune the model, get it into production and guardrail it. And then the third are we call AI blueprints. They're easy reference examples so that you can run them for customer service. You can use them for cybersecurity. We had a couple agents yesterday that we announced doing like visual search and summarization. So what's awesome is it will watch a video feed like this one. It'll analyze and summarize everything that's happening in that video. So if I want to ask it a question in natural language, I just say, where in this video did Kevin Lopes talk? And instantly I'd get access to it instead of scrubbing through video. So it's really powerful platforms that underpin AI Refinery from Accenture.
Karthik, what do you think of this idea of AI factories, sort of powering everything? And how does that fit into the vision?
Yeah, I think this is, in the traditional world, we always had software development kits, and we had DevOps environment that were used to produce traditional software. I think the equivalent of that in the AI world is going to be these AI factories and foundries, where the starting point is your data set and the curated data set and an idea. And now with all these, the Big Bang, the binary Big Bang, that idea can be prompted, and that idea can be converted into design patterns, and those design patterns can be converted into AI models. And these AI models now using the NEMO framework and others can be used to train. Using all of this data and using NIMs and other capability can be used to run efficiently in production. The beauty is that the similar setup for enterprise technology is now getting transposed to the world, the physical world, using Omniverse and Cosmos that was announced yesterday, because you have another variable, which is the spatial aspect of this and the physics aspect of this, and you need to simulate multiple scenarios in the physical world because accidents are a lot more expensive there compared to in the digital world. And also, performance and latencies is going to be hugely noticeable. That if there is going to be a lag, you're going to feel that in the physical world a lot more than you cannot just buy a faster PC and I will get things done. So this manifestation into this physical world is going to accelerate, and this is a completely uncharted territory. And NVIDIA is breaking ground there, and this is the place, and we are actually taking this AI refinery that we built for enterprise and making an AI refinery for simulation world. We're also creating an AI refinery for sovereign AI because that has completely different guardrails and requirements.
Let's talk about what happens with AI in the digital world, because Jensen and NVIDIA unveiled this whole idea of digital twins yesterday, which I'm absolutely fascinated by. We were also talking about whether it really is the year of the robot, and Justin, you said it's the year of the digital robot. Can you tease some of that out for us?
Yeah, so the big announcement that he made yesterday is just like Meta launched open model weights for Llama, which gave the world great intelligence to start post-training models with. We launched World Foundation models as open model weights. This is going to really help every robot developer, autonomous car company revolutionize the industrial automation industry. And so we see it as really kind of helping fast track that industry. But I think to your point, the reason I think this year starts as the world of digital robots is because we're there now. We have AI agents, we have AI refinery, we have really common use cases across enterprises that showcase how much time is saved by employees. And it really comes down to, if every company can save time for their employees to do higher value work, it's going to supercharge productivity for the industry.
So, Lan, you're the Chief AI Officer. Like, it is your job to stay in front of the wave and make sure it doesn't drown you, right? And all of the companies that you work with. What's your strategy for staying ahead and knowing where the wave is and just how powerful it is?
That's a really good question. I would say two things. I think first of all, we always at the forefront of innovation, and we cannot do that all by ourselves, right? So working with world-class partners like NVIDIA to build this AI refinery together so that we can bring this cognitive architecture to our joint clients, that has to be a crucial part of our strategy. I would say the second one, even in the era of AI, we're talking about people. We're talking about talents. So building the world-class talents within my organizations so that we can, help a lot of our clients embrace this wonderful technology to solve for what I call the enterprise messiness, right? The real world is very complex. That has to go back to this talent game.
The clock is at 0, and I'm told we have zero extra time. Lan, Justin, thank you so much. So it's moving quickly, and you've all given us more tools to be able to see where it's going. Thank you both.
Thank you.
For joining us. I'm going to go slightly over, Karthik, but what is your advice for the people who are here and leave this room? What's the first question they should be asking themselves? The first action that they should take to just try to get ahead?
I think the first thing is every enterprise need to self-reflect that we are in an era of continuous disruption and high volatility, from everything that we see. And as a result, reinvention is a continuous journey.
Right.
They need to keep on.
How often should you be reevaluating your strategy? Is it like
I think strategy I think strategy as a term, in my opinion, has to be a North Star. Okay. Strategy should be changed to vision, that where you want to go, what kind of a company do you need to be known for, what kind of products do you need to create, what kind of customers and users that you need to cater to. And that sets your vision, and hence you can create a rolling strategy which can be continuously reinvented. And reinvention, we've always said, is going to happen through the use of technology, data, and AI. This is, like I've been saying, that the ever-increasing share of your cost of goods sold will be technology. Okay? And at some point, for certain companies, it's 100% of their cost of goods sold, but for every company, it'll start becoming a bigger share. And for that, you need to see, in this age of AI, do I need a new foundation? Do I need a new skeletal structure? Do I need a new nervous system? And that is by bringing your knowledge, the use of all the models that is available, AI models, adopting agentic AI, which takes AI from an analytical discipline to a transactional discipline, and wrap all of this with architectures that Justin talked about, and create that cognitive digital brain, and from there onwards, start thinking about value. How do I extract value from this asset that I'm creating within my organization, where my culture is maintained, my value systems is maintained, and I'm able to do newer and newer things for my customers.
Amazing. Karthik Narian, everyone, thank you
Thank you so much.
so much.